I'm Cody from Game Life Balance US, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other geeky podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1...
You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. Stand by for S.H.I.E.L.D. debriefing. You have been granted clearance by Director Phil Coulson. All information to be discussed here is classified and may only be discussed among agents granted clearance by the S.H.I.E.L.D. Director.
Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., a Marvel Comic Universe fan show. This is show number 138, discussing the Daredevil Season 2, Episode 7, Semper Fidelis. This show is recorded on Wednesday, August 10th, 2016. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage on Netflix and the general Marvel comic universe.
Because of Foggy's index cards.
If you'd like to talk to us about Foggy's index cards, you could visit our website, legendsofshield.com, where you'll find all of our contact information. You can send us a voicemail to 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr by searching for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. You could also visit youtube.com/GonnaGeek, where you'll find all of the video podcasts on the network, including this one. And we are a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network.
This time on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., we're going to be talking to you about our giveaway. We're going to be talking about our Daredevil episode. We're going to be talking about the weekly Marvel news, your feedback, and highlights from the live chat room on firetalk.com. And you can get there, as you can always get there, every week as we stream live, 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays at www.geeks.live. So first of all, let's address the elephants in the room. Lauren is not with us tonight. She had other more important things to do. Yes, the woman does indeed have a life, which is hard to imagine. But yes, she does. So we wish Lauren well for the night. And second of all, we already had our guest planned. She's actually not guesting. She's taking Lauren's seat tonight. It's Michelle Ely. Welcome to the podcast, Michelle.
Glad to be back.
For those that don't know, let me do a brief introduction to Michelle. She is an established Gonna Geek blogger at GonnaGeek.com. She is a frequent guest host on All Things Good and Nerdy. That's Sunday mornings on GonnaGeek.com. The Starling Tribune, which is a podcast about the Arrow TV show. This summer we're doing Legends of Tomorrow. And Michelle actually will be guest hosting tomorrow night as well. And you can catch that 9 p.m. Eastern at geeks.live. And of course, we've seen her before here on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Welcome back. But most importantly, Michelle is fresh off the most attended Gen Con ever. And we can't wait to hear her stories.
No problem.
All right, let's move on to the giveaway. Haley, we've got this great leather RFID shielded, shield embossed wallet to give away, right?
Right. We've got the S.H.I.E.L.D. wallet. And to win the S.H.I.E.L.D. wallet, you have to let us know what Tony Stark would take the money out of his wallet for to buy things. What is he going to spend his money on? What's the silliest, most ridiculous, most ludicrous thing he could buy with his money? You need to hit us up on Twitter, on Facebook, through a voicemail, an email, anything that we would have a record of. Don't do it in the chat here today because we will forget, because we are like squirrels and we have no memory at all. Yep. But let us know, entertain us, make us laugh. Don't make us cry. We won't appreciate
or
that.
Or make us laugh so hard that we cry. That's possible.
That would be acceptable.
Right. Michelle,
Yep.
Do you have an entry that you can think of at the top of your head? And we won't hold you to this, but creatively, what is the most ridiculous thing that Tony Stark would spend money on?
Oh, maybe Snickers bars. He'll just buy them all.
Every single Snickers bar on the planet.
Every single one he can find.
He will control the Snickers commodity on the planet.
Exactly.
Snickers must flow.
That would get kind of messy because you wouldn't think that you'd be able to contain them all in an environmental controlled facility, because so they all melt in their packages.
That's why he needs to spend all his money, because it's not just the acquisition of the product, it's also storage and delivery of said product.
I see. So it's just another part of the planet that Tony Stark is taking his advantage of and cornering the market and just be, you know what? He would probably have to invent a better Snickers bar. Haley, do you think he could do that? Could he invent?
Of course he could. He's Tony Stark.
All right. So get on that, Tony. Buy them all up and then invent a better one. We are expecting results. And I think in this endeavor that you could use Dummy and what's the other one called? Dummy and it's just like one word. The 2-armed robots. The 1-arm robots. He's got 2 of them. You know what I'm talking about? One is called Dummy and the other is...
I don't know their names.
This is bad. We are...
Save us, chat.
We are professional Marvel podcasters, and we can't remember the name of the stupid robots in Tony Stark's garage. Yes, he pulled them both. Born to Eat Bacon in the chat asked, did he pull them both out of the ocean? Yes, he did. We saw him driving away in a trailer. The Audi was pulling a trailer and it had the robots. Anyway, get us your answers to what's the most ridiculous thing that Tony Stark would buy and make us laugh, and more importantly, make Haley and Lauren laugh, because they're going to be choosing the winner. So have fun there. Ladies, are you ready to talk some Daredevil?
Yes.
Let's do it.
This week's episode on Daredevil is Semper Fidelis, or as the Marines like to say, Semper Fi. It was directed, you ladies looking at this, it was directed by Ken Garate. Now let's talk a little bit about Ken. Not Ken and Barbie, Ken Garate. He has 92 total directing credits going back to 1994. Let's just run down some of them. I have a list of some of them. So he did 3 episodes of ENG, 2 episodes of Hawkeye, 2 episodes of Tech War, 2 episodes of Earth Final Conflict, 6 episodes of La Femme Nikita, 1 episode of Total Recall 2070, and I didn't even remember that show existed until I read it on his IMDb. 1 episode of Xena Warrior Princess, 2 episodes of Invisible Man, 6 episodes of The Outer Limits, 2 episodes of Mutant X, 2 episodes of Odyssey 5, and again, that show should still be on the air today, and it is not. I don't know why it was canceled, probably due to ratings, but it was that good. 2 episodes of 24, I believe day 4, so what is that, 4th season? I don't know. 3 episodes of Stargate SG-1, woo! 1 episode of Blade the series, 1 episode of The Dresden Files, 1 episode of Burn Notice, 2 episodes of Stargate Atlantis, 1 episode of Warehouse 13, 1 episode of Nikita, 2 episodes of Daredevil, and get this, it is such a bad thing that Lauren's not here, 14 episodes of Vikings. And
that show is so good.
Round it all up
awesome.
With 4 episodes of Orphan Black.
Awesome show.
Love Orphan Black. Also, they just dropped a new trailer for Vikings. Looks good.
Didn't they stop in like mid-season, or was that a full season? I can't remember.
No, they just do like 10-episode seasons.
Okay, there you go. Anyway, that is an impressive list. That is amazing. The guy has been on some phenomenal shows. And let's talk about the writer a little bit. We've heard his name before. His name is Luke Calto. He has 3 writing credits starting in 2006, 3 of which are for Daredevil. So there you go. However, if you look at his IMDb, he has an extensive list of cinematography credits, but not for what you think. He's an electrician. He's an electrician that wrote the episode. That is awesome. And I'm sure it's more than just an electrician. It's probably the guy that's actually setting up the shots with lighting and so on and so forth. But it's called electrician, whatever that is. So he was also an executive story editor for Daredevil. So not just these 3 episodes, he probably crafted all of them to date. So that is cool. All right, we've gone through the director, we've gone through the writer. Let's get right into it. The meaning of Semper Fidelis in the episode, of course, the Marines say it all the time, but you might not realize what it means. It means always faithful. That's the Latin for Semper Fidelis. What the heck does it mean in relation to this episode, Michelle?
It means that Matt has lost his way and that he doesn't know how to be always faithful to the one person who has always been there for him, and that is Foggy. That's what I think it means.
Haley?
I'm pretty much on the same track as she is. Karen and Foggy have gotten him to where he is, and he kind of abandoned them as soon as Elektra showed up and needed his help.
Well, there you go. Semper Fidelis, faithful abandonment. It's all about the Semper Fi. So let's talk a little bit about the status of New York. It starts with jury selection. You don't realize that's what it's going on, jury selection, but it is a jury selection. And the way they intertwined it, it was amazing because you had one person saying one thing that was for what the Punisher did and another person that was saying the direct opposite, and they just intertwined it so well. It was amazing. I really enjoyed that. That just speaks to where New York, the city of New York, stands. Half of them like them, half of them don't. Half of them want vigilantes, half of them don't. Right, Haley?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about the jury selection, Miss Michelle?
It makes sense, and it sort of echoes like the running theme. Like when Daredevil and Castle had their talk on the roof, and then, they keep going over and over again about like, well, is he completely bad? Does he have a point of view? So it just keeps echoing that same theme.
There you go. So let's talk about the status of the law firm itself, Nelson and Murdoch, avocados at law. And there was a lot of togetherness, a lot of fracture in this episode. You had it going both ways. You had a big discussion of how they're going to treat the case, and then of course Elektra comes in and just ruins everything. Everything's ruined. Elektra, bad girl.
This is where we start seeing the fracturing of the law firm. Matt gets caught lying again. His night job endangers the case that they're supposed to be working on. He blows it for the opening statement that he was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, he's just majorly just... Oh, Elektra. I am not a big fan of Elektra. Her scenes, it's like every time, part of it is, it's like I'm tired of like the dark-haired, dark-skinned woman representing the dark side, and then the white woman, blonde, representing the good side. So you have that sort of caricature, and then she just comes on. Yeah, she just comes on and she's like, oh, Matt, I know the real side of you. You need to come fight these generic Japanese guys for some reason we have no rocks on.
I think you mean Matthew.
Matthew, yes. So it's just interesting about how little it takes Matt to abandon Foggy and Karen, because it's like Elektra just seems like the specter toward us. She's not really fleshed out, and so he's just like, oh, okay, fine, I'll go and ruin my friendships and my possible relationship with the girlfriend I really don't have chemistry with, and my law firm relationship with best friend and stuff. So
it's what happens every time. The hot girl just causes all sorts of strife, and it happens one crazy summer. It happened there too. I mean, and any iteration of crazy woman does this. But you said you didn't like Elektra. This version of Elektra, yeah, I would have to agree with that. Jennifer Gardner, on the other hand, she was a good Elektra. One that I could get down with.
I'm sure. I'm going to avoid what I think you, Matt, for that. But it's not so much. I don't know if it's the actress or if it's the fact that they just haven't given her anything to do. Because it's just, Matt, let's go fight some generic Japanese guys.
She's a kung fu action love interest for the season.
She comes out of nowhere. They give her backstory, her origin story with Matt, but they don't give her origin story of really why she is the way she is in terms of badass fighter or whatever, like they do in a normal comic book movie like Elektra, or it was more like what happened at the beginning of Suicide Squad, where people were coming out of nowhere and you were like, what? What's going on? I don't understand. But, okay. The
problem with this version of Elektra is they've only developed her character as it relates to Matt. It's entirely in service to his story. She doesn't have her own story.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're ever going to give her her own story, or maybe they won't based on previous ability to perform in the box office, basically. I don't know. We'll see. But
it's a shame because they fleshed out Punisher so well, and he has his own arc, which I don't know how it ends. Again, I'm one episode a week. Okay, so I haven't binged it. So it's like they give Frank Castle this richness, this backstory, and that whole, like, I understand the scene. Like the last time I was on, we talked about the pawn shop scene and how he ended up, clubbing the pawn shop owner, and then I learned Penny and Dime with the daughter, and that made that. I mean, so he has this great arc, and then like Haley said, she's just here, and she doesn't have her own rich arc. She's just, like you said, ninja love interest.
Well, you get to the end of the episode, and you find out what's really going on. There's a big dang hole in the middle of New York, and this gets back to season 1 of Daredevil, when the Yakuza really wanted that building. There was a reason they wanted that building, because they wanted to dig a really deep hole. Which is...
I've seen the whole season. I don't remember what the deal is with the big hole.
We never find out.
Okay. That's why I don't remember.
That's why.
No, oh, God.
Yeah, spoiler, but it's not there. It hangs into season 3. Or maybe it's beyond season 3. Maybe it is the Defenders, and the reason
they're digging a hole to China.
That's what it must be, because that flashlight is falling for a long time. We don't even hear it hit the bottom at the end of this episode.
Madame Gao is sick of having to fly in coach every week to deal with her international business dealings, and she's like, nah. Yeah, taking a shortcut.
So you just fall through the center of the earth. You slow down at the center, right? Because the gravity starts going the other way, and you get to the other side, and it's just boom.
Well, no, conservation of energy. Whatever velocity you left with, your speed's going to increase, and then after you pass through the core, you're going to start slowing down because of the effects of gravity. So you'll just, step out on the other side.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Except for you're going to need a little bit of boost because the air friction,
drag, right?
Yeah.
Then you need oxygen and something to the pressure and the heat and all that.
Oh yeah, there's that whole molten core problem, but we'll deal with that later.
Yeah, they dealt with that in the movie called The Core. Go watch it.
Oh my God.
I love that movie. It is so terrible. I love it so much.
I know, it's so bad it's good.
I own it. I watch it every once in a while.
So do I. I have the DVD. It's right in there. I tried to talk my high school science teacher into letting us watch it in class when we were talking about the layers of the Earth, and he was like, no.
No. Well, you just end up confusing the people that didn't realize it was bad science. But
it was a small class. We could have explained it.
Okay. I'm not going to speak to the academic acuity of your classmates. In any event, you guys brought up some great subjects while you were talking. Let's get into the meat of the relationship between Matt and Karen. Michelle.
I really enjoy Karen's story arc. She's really, you guys told me when I was on, watch out for what she becomes. She's becoming this great investigator. And I like the fact that she stands up to Matt, even though she's supposed to be the girlfriend, because some writers might have been like, oh, Matt, I just agreed with you and blah, 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 so I can be your girlfriend. But she actually has agency and she stands up for herself. And there's a fracture in the relationship because when she leaves, he doesn't even give her like a goodbye kiss or anything like that after their little, I think Frank Castle could be right. And he's all like, no. So.
Oops. Yeah, Matt basically blows it with Karen in this episode, and we'll see where it leads in the future. We won't spoil it for you, but yeah, this was a defining moment in the entire series between those two, and it leads to some interesting things as the series goes on, and I'm sure as the series goes on as well, because Karen's arc is not done in this. Karen has a great arc throughout this entire season. We're only like halfway through it, so you've got a lot of great stuff to see in the future. So Haley, after seeing the entire series, don't spoil it for our friend Michelle,
Right.
but are you glad that this happened at this point in the series?
The argument between Karen and
Yeah.
Matt. Yeah, well, the sooner they can break up, the better. Because really, Charlie Cox is very pretty. He has no chemistry with anybody. It's not with Elektra, not even with Rosario Dawson, which is a hard feat to accomplish.
That's
He
right.
just he has no romantic chemistry. He should just bro out with Foggy all the time. It'll be much better.
I wonder if he's like that in real life. Like that's his real personality that's coming through his acting, and they're going to find it impossible to eventually match him up with somebody.
Maybe it's because he's not allowed to make eye contact with people or something, and he's having a hard time displaying his, showing a connection some other way. I don't know, but just in this show, at least, he does not have chemistry at all.
So you think if he was trying to get chemistry with somebody that he should just stand up in the middle of the room, take his shirt off, and just stand there? You think that would
that'll
work? Yeah, okay.
He had to take his shirt off to perform, medical procedures because reasons. How else are you supposed to suture the back of somebody's neck?
Yeah, he's got some mad skills there. I didn't even see Elektra get hit in the neck, but she got hit in the arm too. And I assumed, I don't know why, I assumed the blades were poisoned because it's the Yakuza. I don't know why I assumed that. So in the second watch through, yes, I've seen this once before the entire way through, but in the second watch through, it's been a while and I was thinking, did she get poisoned? Does she like lay out and he can't take advantage of her at his apartment later on because she's drugged? But no, they're have some sort of restraint against each other, and it obviously is the Charlie Cox non-chemistry restraint. That's obviously what's happening, because in real life I can't see them not hooking up in that situation.
No, he's in a serious relationship with Karen. Can't you tell?
And she said no sex.
Aw. There you go. So Elektra has an interesting little storyline coming in and out, going after Roxxon, and then just trying to help Matt out, and really makes it worse with the medical MD. I remembered this from the first time through, and I was just waiting for it to happen. But I remember the first time, and Michelle, you could talk about it a little bit. But I remember the first time I was like, oh no, he just let it go. Something happened. And it was Elektra. And it was like, oh man, she just screwed everything up again. So Michelle, tell us about your first watch through on it.
You mean about how what Elektra did?
Yeah.
I mean,
intimidated the witness, basically.
Yeah. I mean, at first I like how it was staged, because like, he's like, I have to admit something. And then you think, oh, okay, their strategy is going to work, and they're right. And then it's just like this whole big old swoop of, she just ruined everything. And it's like, is she just dumb or impulsive, or she just didn't care and she just wants Matthew all to herself? I mean, it didn't.
She wants a wingman. She just wants somebody. She wants a partner. She wants somebody that can go and kick ass with her as she goes to take on the Yakuza, the Roxxon Corporation, whatever. She knows she can't do it alone, and she knows she needs somebody looking at her back. So she's trying to take care of his back, and totally fails at it. So it's like, it's one of those crazy women that you just want to throw away their phone number and hope they never get your new unlisted number.
I have a feeling she could track him down.
I'm sure she could.
I mean, she figured out he was Daredevil after all. I don't like crazy. It's just, again, it goes back to their writing of her. She doesn't have enough character to really figure out just what her agenda is.
Haley, talking about Elektra and her agenda, she's obviously going down this path, and she does need to kick some booty on the way in. We've had some okay fights in this episode. You want to describe your favorite of the fights in the episode?
Fighting ninjas is always cool. I thought there was that little confrontation. I wouldn't even call it a fight in the creepy dude's apartment.
Yeah.
Which, that guy could have gotten hit a few more times. That would have been fine. But I mean, I think it's got to be the first fight with the ninjas.
Michelle, what was your favorite action scene of the episode?
Well, I guess like one of the, I don't know, like because like the Japanese are just sort of like generic. It's like they could be recycling the extras, and I wouldn't really know. I mean, the action was fine.
Yeah.
And everything, but like how I liked how she used the gun to like just whack people. I think that's always interesting when people take guns and they use them as baseball bats.
Yeah, she did not only what Matt did, which was click when the gun was taped to his hand, and the gun is not taped to her hand. She's actually trying to use it as a weapon. She clicks it twice, click, click, and then she's like laughs and uses it as a giant club. But my favorite action moment of the episode was in the loft when they're going after crazy dude, professor, whatever they talk about. And Matt is just hitting the glass, pushing him up against the glass, hitting the glass, breaking the glass so that the guy would fall out. Well, the guy survived, right? Matt pulls him away and they get him to translate the ledger. And then he's just got his hand up on the glass, just touching it. And it just goes. And that dude was that close from going over. That was nice. That was amazing. I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was a good scene. It's my favorite action shot of the episode. And of course, I have an affinity towards broken windows because that's all that happens in Star City, apparently. So, yes, it just crosses streams, but you can't not. I mean, the action in these shows, we talked about it before. This is definitely the superior action of the two shows, but they were the top pinnacle of TV action shots before.
And still a lot of broken windows.
Yep, lots of them. All right, let's talk a little bit about Foggy. We've talked about him in the last couple episodes. He did, on the spot, do an amazing opening argument. As Michelle, you mentioned in the opening of the show, he had index cards that he promptly threw away because I don't know. What do you think? Do you think he was legitimately fumbling through them at the start, or do you think that was for effect?
Oh, he was fumbling. It's you've seen that like before, like when he confronted like the dogs of hell, how he would like try to find the right thing to do. And so yeah, I can believe he was just fumbling, and then he just had to take that breath, put him down, and do what he did.
And he was amazing. So Haley, let's get a little bit scientifical in a second here. What exactly
because scientifical is a word?
Yeah, it is. It is in my book. It is in the Stargate Pioneer Studios.
Okay.
So let's get a little scientific about defining what exactly is flop sweat.
Well, flop sweat is what leads to swamp ass.
I see. There's no definition of what it is, just what becomes after you have it. There you go. So Foggy's got to watch out for swamp ass coming at him pretty soon. Mm-hmm.
It's coming in a big bad way.
There you go. So let's talk about Frank Castle, because he had a couple of defining moments in this episode. One was for comic relief, which was kind of funny. Way to go, counselor. The other one, though, was when Karen went to go talk to him about the style of defense that they were going to put on. And I have to admire Frank at this point in time, because he said, do not cheapen PTSD for those that it really affects. That is not what I have. I do not have PTSD. Do not go that route. I have too much respect from the people that I served with. Do not use that. And for that, he comes off as a strong character at that point in time.
Very much so. I mean, he does have a strong sense of character. And I immediately like how Karen just came back and, stands up for herself, and how he respects her. But yeah, that scene was, really sort of defined who Frank Castle, the person, not him as being like the Punisher, but how Frank Castle, the person, is.
Yep. All right, Michelle, do you have anything else in the episode that we haven't covered yet? You often do. I'm kind of out of notes at this point in time.
No. I mean, there's a lot of, I sort of made like a little, if you make like a little bingo card of tropes, besides like the dark haired, they had the scar scene.
Yes.
The comparing of the scars. It's like,
that's right.
Check. It's like, oh gosh,
it reminded
really?
me a little bit of Lethal Weapon 3, I think it was, when Mel Gibson and Rene Russo were exchanging scars, which led to sex. And it did not lead to sex in this case. So a little bit of difference in there, but it reminded me of Lethal Weapon.
He showed us the one down on his side. He's like, that one hurt. He's like, yeah, that's the one we saw oozing for 3 episodes. Thanks, bro.
I know. Yeah. Oh, that was from the Yakuza Blade, and so was that one, and so was that one. So basically, it was a really bad day. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Really, that's probably...
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's probably why they don't have him in shirtless scenes very often, because when they do that, they've got to do the scar makeup.
Yes. That was a big issue with Stephen Amell in Arrow, too, because they had to get all
that, and he wanted to eat.
Well, true, but it was a makeup issue, though, where they had to put the scars on in exactly the same place over and over and over again. And if they didn't, they had to CGI it, which was incredibly expensive and time-consuming. So, there's that. Okay, Michelle, we've gone through 7 episodes of Daredevil. Where would you rank this in the first 7?
If you take out Elektra, I would give it like an 8, because that scene where Foggy stands up for himself and everything like that, and he, the Foggy and Karen part, 8. The Elektra part brings it down to a 6.
Okay, that's on a scale of 1 to 10. For the 7 episodes that you have in front of you, where would you rank it in the 7 episodes? It's kind of hard. It's on the spot. We often do these things just to throw our hosts.
I feel like I could have skipped this one and not missed any story. Really? So because of that, it's like the bottom of that.
I don't know. Foggy's.
That's the thing, though. It's like, yeah, it's a great moment, but story-wise, like if you skip this, and I haven't seen the next one, but really, what do you learn? Matt's being awful, and there's a big hole somewhere. There's nothing quite else that happened. It's not like there was,
Well,
it's a transition episode.
Yeah, it's like that knot tying one. That was not because that hasn't paid off either, because like Foggy repeats how Elektra was in his life. So it's like either get rid of the Kimbaku one, and then like keep this one, or because there's some stuff that you could skip and not really miss anything. You got to remember, I'm watching this one at a time, so I notice how when they stand alone, how weak they are. Mm-hmm. So it's.
And when I watched it all the way through, I did skip through to the next episode at this point in time. I can't remember where I stopped on day 1 and day 2, day 3. I watched it in 3 days, Friday through Sunday. And I remember going through to the next episode. So you get that feel to it too, where the different styles of watching, and we talked about this, lead to a different perception of the series. Haley, what do you think? You got any last thoughts on the episode?
I think Michelle's right. I think this is probably, it's hard for me to remember distinct episodes, but I think this is probably the weakest episode of the season.
Okay.
Yeah. And I watched like 2 episodes the first night and then the rest of them all the next day. So this was in the middle of the binge, and I have no distinct memories of this at all.
This was ordering the pizza time at about lunch, right?
No, I had stocked up on pizza rolls the night before, so I wouldn't have
see.
to leave the house.
Pizza rolls. So maybe you were making a trip to the microwave to warm up the rolls. Or
Maybe.
do you eat them frozen?
I also
don't
know I had a lot of cookies. I think I got like 2 boxes of cookies to keep near me
Girl Scout cookies?
for my binging purposes.
Because it was
No.
Girl Scout cookie time.
No, I did not have Girl Scout cookies. I had, oh yes, I did have Girl Scout cookies. I had 3 boxes of Girl Scout cookies. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome. Here you go. All right, Haley, do you got any quotes, memorable lines?
A couple. It's not even a particularly quotable episode either. Nothing great going on with the dialogue, but a couple. My only plan is to run away and open a butcher shop.
That's what Foggy, that's his backdrop. Because he comes from a family of butchers. So, okay. It's a good fallback. I like it. He's got a plan.
Yep. That's a pretty thick slice of bull there, counselor.
Frank Castle, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But probably
that is not his exact words either.
No. Probably the best line of the entire episode.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait for next week to get to the next episode. It's the 8th episode in the 2nd season, of course, and we'll be running down Guilty as Sin. And that will be a great episode. So if you're watching or listening to the podcast, go ahead and watch that, and then let us know what your feedback is, and we would love to talk about your feedback on the episode, like we do with Andy every episode on the podcast. So I am going to get into a little special segment. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. We're going to go into it now. We have special guest Michelle with us, who was recently at Gen Con 2016 in Indianapolis. It is the largest, I would think, Midwest conference con in the area. I think C2E2 was probably larger, but as Michelle was saying before the podcast, before we went live, she said this was bigger. So Michelle, tell us all about Gen Con 2016.
There's no physical way you can do all of it. You would need 100 clones, and each clone would need a time turner, because it's not only the convention center, it actually expanded into part of Lucas Oil Stadium this year. Wow. The Westin Hotel, the Marriott Hotel, the Hyatt, I think. It's huge. It's huge. I haven't been to something this big since PAX a few years ago. It is huge. and it's wow. There's a lot to do.
Okay, so it's largely about gaming, right? That's Gen Con. That's the theme of it.
And it is largely board games. So if you like, the floor was just like board game demo after board game demo, which was fun. Wow. And of course you could buy stuff and people wanted to buy your game. But if you were into anime, there was literally one whole section for anime. If you wanted to LARP, there were LARPing. There were special events where you could learn how. A friend of mine did this class on figure painting, for games and stuff. I actually visited the Writers Symposium, where it got different authors to talk about the craft and everything. So I did a lot of that. It's, oh good Lord, 4 days, no way to do even a fraction of it. It's just.
Did you happen to run into anybody that you knew?
No.
Wow.
No. My friend Ryan was there with a group of people. They already had events that they were going to. I know Cody and them, they had their own friends. It's the way Gen Con works, you do have the general floor, but they have events that you sign up for and that you have tickets for and everything. So it's not like a lot of panels like at C2E2 and things like that. So there's just a lot going on, and so no, I pass no one.
So you drove in every day, right? You didn't stay in town. So how was the traffic back and forth every day?
It's fine for me as long as the construction on 70 was fine, but I figured out the good place to park. if you park in the Sun Garage of the Circle City Mall, you can actually take the Skywalk all the way from there to the convention center. And not go any streets or anything like that. And it was reasonably priced, you know, considering it's downtown Indianapolis. But yeah, it was fine because it's just an hour for me. So
you're speaking to the new con goer. Say you're speaking to somebody like to Haley, who hasn't ever been to a con before. And
Into some cons.
well, let's just pretend that Haley has never been to a con before, never been to a meetup, has never been out of her house. She just is in 3 or 4 rooms.
What is outside?
Yeah, okay. And she is thinking about going to a con like C2E2, like Gen Con, like Dragon Con, like SDCC, maybe a Dallas Comic Con or something like that. So how would you think that Gen Con would stack up in the list of maybe you should go check this out as your first major con?
if you are not a person who likes huge crowds, do not make Gen Con your first con. Even the area with the food trucks, you could barely walk. There were over 60,000 people there. So it's huge. So that's a conservative. I heard it's even because 61 last year was 61. And if it was more this year, then we're reaching 65 to 70.
So that's about half the size of SDCC, which is, the biggest con in the area. And you got to remember, folks, that this is not San Diego. The Indianapolis Convention Center and immediate area, it's nice, it's big, but it's not San Diego Convention Center. That place is like a half mile long or 3/4 mile long. It's wide. It's meant to take that sort of crowd. Not in San Diego Comic-Con is not the only thing that happens there either. So it's meant to take a big, huge crowd of about 150,000 people inside with extra 50,000 people or so outside. Downtown Indianapolis is just...
It can handle it.
It can handle it, of course, with the big football games and events at Lucas Oil Stadium and stuff. But it is just a little bit smaller of an area. And it's not as nice either because you don't have the ocean right there as well. But Gen Con is an awesome event still. Cody and John from Unqualified Gamers, now Game Life Balance US. They go every year with all their friends. They play board games. They did a live podcast recording last year. I don't think they did that this year, but they just entirely love it. I know people from all over the United States that go, and they just like the gaming. And if you like gaming, like Haley, what are some of the games you like to play? Like Settlers of Catan or something like that?
Yeah, Small World. I like a lot of board games.
Mm-hmm.
Red Dragon Inn is fun.
So if you like stuff like that, this is definitely the place to go because you don't get this really anywhere else. Everything else has a more specific focus. There are gameplay areas in different cons, but nothing as big as this.
Yeah, and if you're more into video games, you need to go to like PAX.
Yeah.
And such. If you are just a video game person, Gen Con is not for you.
But it is a good con. You'd recommend checking it out?
Yeah, it depends. Each con has its own flavor and you need to check it out. You need to see what the main focus is. You need to see like what past guests were there, what past events were there because, each con, I've gone to 4 cons this year.
Yeah.
And each one was, I went to the small indie pop con and Gen Con and C2E2. Each one has its own unique flavor. So just like, oh, I've been to this con, they're all the same. They are not. Investigate before you buy. It's expensive, the tickets. And if you're from out of town, you got transportation, you've got food. So just don't be like, oh, on a whim, I'm going to go to this con. Check it out before you're like, I spent all this money and I hate it. So it's like, just, proceed with caution.
At least go with some friends so you've got somebody to ditch with if it sucks.
Or maybe ditch them if you want a little sport. Oh, we're over here. We're over here. We're over here, right?
No, that would be not cool, bro.
Okay, not cool. There you go. You go with somebody, you stay with them. Dance with who brought you. All right. So Gen Con 2016, good time. Thank you very much, Michelle, for sharing. We're going to move on to some news. The first news story of the night is back to the home of this show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It is a comic book resources article, and it has Chloe Bennett teasing an edgier, sexier season 4, which doesn't surprise me since it moved back an hour. So what else we got on this news story?
Yeah, she said like they're going to take advantage of that 10 p.m., how it's, darker, sexier, edgy. She says it feels more mature. I don't know how we're supposed to take that, but it looks like they're going to, attract people that way. Be interesting to see if there's more brains or more sex or more brains than sex.
Maybe more shirtless scenes. Maybe more shirtless scenes with Chloe Bennett. You never know what you're going to get.
They've written out almost all of their guys you'd want to see shirtless.
Yeah, including
Really?
sexy evil Ward.
They just got him not crushed, and then they killed him off.
I know.
Well,
I'm going to miss sexy evil Ward. I can't believe I just said that, but I am.
hashtag sexy evil Ward. And apparently he is making the con circuits, by the way, and having just a blast with it. So hope he enjoys it while he has it.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have a new set video of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which has something special in it.
Yeah, it's Chloe Bennett on top of the Charger. And you see her and she's like on the roof and it's tagged best day on set ever or something like that. Looks like she's having some fun. And there's a good photo of the car. It looks really nice. Really nice.
I like the car. It's something that could be in a Fast and Furious movie. Absolutely. Nice muscle car. So if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out. Okay, for this next one, since Lauren's not here, we're all going to have to do our best. So on the count of 3, you know what you got to do. 1, 2, 3. Luke Cage! Yes, we got a new Luke Cage trailer, didn't we, Haley?
Yes. And he wears this awesome hoodie, and then he gets his hoodie all shut up.
Yeah, he's going to need like a huge closet of t-shirts and hoodies because there's a lot of gunfights in this, and it's just like going to shred all his clothes. And
he's just getting the Hanes 3-packs. That's all he's got.
He should just be shirtless.
It would make more sense. It would be fiscally responsible.
Exactly. He doesn't get cold or anything. I mean, just go around Harlem in jeans and shoes and a smile. That's all we need.
I do believe I brought this up at least last week or the week before. We were talking about his clothes getting shredded up, and I just didn't get it. You have to go cheap. You can't go with the nice threads when you go out. That's for sure. Because you can't imagine like a $2,000 suit. No, that's just not going to work.
I bet he looks good in a suit, but he doesn't need to wear one.
No.
It's okay.
He doesn't need to wear much.
He could wear the smile. That'll be fine.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to another Marvel property that is just not gonna make it. Just did not make it. We found out why. I'm sorry.
Marvel's Most Wanted.
Yeah, Marvel's Most Wanted did not make it, and it was because
it wasn't good.
No, it was not.
Good. Again, it wasn't good again. It had 2 tries, and it sucked both.
Just couldn't make it work. And they have nothing against the characters, the individual actors. They want to bring them back, which is going to be hard because Adrian Palicki has already signed a deal with another series. But they said it had nothing to do with them. It was the series wasn't good. And then they were comparing
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, they're right. They were comparing it not only to that series, they were comparing not to Marvel, they were comparing to everything that was going on ABC. And ABC was looking up at Marvel saying, please God, don't shove this down our throats. Don't do it. We have other better stuff to go with. So please don't give us Marvel's most, don't mandate having to air Marvel's most.
Right.
Look at that Agent Carter. See what that did? No, let's not do that.
I mean, they can only pick up so many pilots a year. They only have so much money to spend. They aren't going to put it in something that they know is a stinker. So it's unfortunate, but there it is.
And that is directly from Jeff Loeb, and that was a TV Line article. You guys got any more news for the week? You hiding anything, like a trick card up your sleeve or something like that? Or we kind of done with the news for the week?
That would be magic.
That's right.
You know what else is magic?
What?
Doctor Strange.
Oh, what happened with Doctor Strange?
Well, they've decided that it is magic and it's not science we don't understand, and they're not going to explain it. It's just magic.
That is going to drive you nuts, Haley. I know it's going to drive me a little nuts, but it's going to drive you very nuts.
No, it doesn't. I actually prefer magic to science we don't understand.
Okay.
Because if it's science we don't understand, then it has a logical explanation. And clearly, the magic hammer does not have a logical explanation. It's magic. Let it be magic.
Yeah, so they're not going the Thor route. Like, let's explain that they're not gods, that they're aliens with great genetics and hair products.
I like the Rainbow Bridge. The Rainbow Bridge works for me.
Yeah, it's cool as long as it's magic. But when you're like, oh no, this is sciencey science stuff.
No.
Right. So Doctor Strange is supposed to open up the door into magic, into the Marvel Universe. And at some point in time, it's all going to collide together. And we're going to see how it works out in the MCU. But yep, nope, not going to explain it. Not going to happening. Doctor Strange is going to be strange in that it's not explained. All right, that is the last news story for the week. Let's get on to some feedback. Thank you very much to everybody that tweeted us. A lot of the news stories that we used tonight was actually from the tweets. Let's just read them off here. Richard, also known as @KodiakGWC on Twitter, said, "Oh, well, I wonder how bad it was, or was it?" And that was talking about Marvel's Most Wanted. @Mr. Paracletes, did you guys see this? We did talk about it before. It's a superpower beatdown between Nightwing and Winter Soldier, and it is awesome that Lauren is not here tonight because who won? Not Winter Soldier. Yes, it is awesome to go watch. So it is superpower beatdown number 19, and in it, Dick Grayson sends a picture to Barbara, and as the Oracle, I guess, and they're dating, obviously. This is DC Universe, and he sends a picture of himself, and she said, "Oh, you sent me a dick pic."
Jokes.
Jokes is good. @Adana Girl, that's Christy, our friend. She tweeted us, and she said, "Look, Henry Simmons is in a fancy car commercial." So did you guys see that Lexus commercial?
Mm-mm.
Pretty cool.
I don't see commercials. I don't watch the TVs.
Well, she tweeted it to us, and it's available online, so you should check it out. @KodiakDWC tweeted us not once but twice about the Luke Cage trailer. Why did he tweet us twice? Is because the day before they said, "Watch out, tomorrow we're going to drop the trailer." And then the next day they dropped the trailer, and he tweeted us again. And Lauren, I think, was in such just amazing joy that she fainted. And
yeah, I heard her squee from here.
It was pretty loud squee on Twitter. It was amazing. And then our friend @Cajun_Sean tweeted us, and it was about the Ghost Rider's car in action on the set. So Haley, our friend Andy, sent us an email, and I noticed. So I'm going to.
I was like, you can't blind toss me if you don't put it in the notes.
I know. It's like, did I do something wrong on the show notes? Was that me? No.
I swear I actually put them in there last night because I thought,
Doctor Strange came and went.
It was magic. It's science we don't understand.
Woo! It's magically there. So let's take this from the top. So Haley, our friend Andy, sent us an email, as he always does. Let's break that down.
Well, one of my favorite things is he said sand. They're smuggling sand, which why, if you've got all those train cars, would you put all of your dirt in one of them and have it full to the brim when you could divide that among several train cars because they're obviously all empty. It was ridiculous.
It's like the golden ticket, you know, Willy Wonka's factory. Instead of a golden ticket, it's sand. So they won the lottery. They got the sand.
And he also said they are digging for Cthulhu. No, Cthulhu will rise from the oceans. It is known.
Exactly.
Does Cthulhu take down Namor in the process?
He's one of the old ones. He will devour us all.
Good to know.
Hell.
Good to know. So what did Andy rate us this week?
He gave it 8 out of 10. I show you mine, you show me your scars.
That's right. It's the scar sharing episode. So awesome. Thank you, everybody, for the feedback. We really appreciate that. I was looking on Facebook. A lot of likes on Facebook. Thank you very much for that. Ladies, it's time to take a little walk and walk this one out. Join us next week here on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. as we discuss Daredevil Season 2, Episode 8, Guilty as Sin. You can find all of our GonnaGeek.com live streams at www.geeks.live. We have a website, legendsofshield.com, which will take you to our page on the GonnaGeek.com website. You can find all the ways to contact us there. And if you happen to be on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, just search for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. You will find us. If you're looking for the videos for this show, go to youtube.com/GonnaGeek. That is our network video page. A lot of great produced videos there. So don't forget, we are also on Spreaker. So if you happen to be out and about and we're live and you just want to listen to us, maybe you're in the car or whatever, turn on Spreaker. We are there 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday nights, and that will use a lot less data than whatever video service we happen to be streaming from. I just want to take this time to thank Michelle. It was awesome having you here again tonight. We really appreciate you coming in, especially for this transition episode. I mean, we're just going to have you back for maybe a couple more episodes.
No, most definitely.
All right.
And it's nice to meet you, Haley.
You too.
Bad producer. SP did not introduce the host beforehand because the producer thought that everybody knew each other.
Well, that's because we've been on a lot of the same podcasts, just never at the same time.
Exactly.
Well, gear up, ladies. Tomorrow night, you're going to be podcasting together again. Yes, tomorrow night, Haley will be on the Starling Tribune, as well as Michelle, myself, and Chris. Neil will be out of pocket, and we're going to be talking about one of the best Legends of Tomorrow episode, The Magnificent Eight. So catch that 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursday night. And if you don't catch it live, don't worry, just catch it later, either on YouTube, because Chris does the video editing for that. Thank you, Chris. Or catch it on the feed in a couple of days. I also want to thank all of our listeners. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming. And I want to thank Born to Eat Bacon because he's been very prolific in the chat tonight on Fire Talk. Thank you for joining us tonight.
I want to thank everyone who communicates with us through everything, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Lauren couldn't live tweet this week, but she would say thank you for everybody that does the live tweets with her every week. She'll be back next week, hopefully. And I also want to remind everyone that we've got an awesome giveaway going on to win the S.H.I.E.L.D. wallet. And to enter to win that, you have to let us know what Tony Stark would spend his money on, entertain us, dance monkeys dance, you know what we like. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, send us an email, send us a voicemail. Let us know what he's going to spend that money on. Make us laugh.
And as a little postscript, I will just remind everybody, get to your local comic book store and check out the week's haul in Marvel Comics. This week, there was a bunch of comics that dropped. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. number 8 dropped. Daredevil number 10 dropped. If you're interested in Daredevil, if you're listening to this podcast, go check out the all-new, all-different Marvel Universe with that. But a lot of other good ones dropped, like Spider-Man, A-Force, and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So get your Marvel comics at your local comic book store, or We're not sponsored, but I would heavily recommend going to Comixology.com if you can't find a comic book store. You know what, Haley? We haven't talked about that. I bet you have a comic book store near you now.
I probably do. I still haven't gone, but I bet I do.
So that's your homework for the week. Go find one. All right.
I like the digital comics because I have such a massive library that a physical comic book collection has become impractical.
I was looking at actually wooden comic book cubes or cabinets. They're expensive. The cabinet, just for like a 6x2 drawer thing, like a low hutch.
Even the cardboard long boxes and bagging and boarding can get expensive.
It can.
Very much. I used to have 3,000 comics, and that got heavy.
My digital library is at like 20,000 comics.
Good for you.
And is as heavy as your iPad. So there you go.
Which, you know, when you drop it on your forehead is considerable.
That's true. And may I take a moment to let everybody know, see, on tomorrow's, Starling Tribune podcast, Stargate always says, I'm not a comic book guy. And Mr. I'm not a comic book guy just did 5 minutes on comic books. So
I held up like 12 different books to show us I'm not a comic book guy.
I don't have that comic book history. I am getting into it. And I got to say, I jumped in at the right time. So Marvel, I jumped in with the all new, all different universe. So that's pretty cool. And with DC, with Rebirth. That's for Neil, by the way. It was a great time to jump in, too. So that's where I've chosen to jump in. And you can jump in anytime with Comixology, with the Marvel app.
1963, 1935, anywhere.
So where are you starting from? Where are you at in Marvel? Yeah, okay.
Like 1972.
There you go. Michelle, any last words for the week?
No, but wait. The Snickers idea has been taken. That one's mine, dear people. Tony Stark buying Snickers. Mine. Taken.
All right. Well, thank you very much to everybody for hanging out for us. Until next time, I'm Agent Stargate Pioneer.
I'm Agent Haley.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
See you guys next week. Bye.
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 Thank you for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, go to gonnageek.com and you'll find all of our contact information and other shows. You can also visit legendsofshield.com where you'll find our complete archive of podcasts. The music heard on this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at incompetech.com. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent Legends, Stream, or Gonna Geek. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended. Property of the Disney Corporation. No infringement is intended.